Well, hello and welcome to Qlik Spotlight. Well, we have, and I have, the very great pleasure of having Dave Kroll. Now, Dave Kroll is, I hesitate to use the word new, but fairly new Vice President of Global Communications. Welcome, Dave.
Hi, John. Hey, great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, so how long have you been at Qlik for now?
Oh, I'm a dinosaur. I think I cracked 90 days at the beginning of November, so I've had a really good ramp, and it continues for sure. But and enjoying being here.
Excellent. Yeah, I can imagine the what they call it, drinking from the fire hose
Absolutely.
is a phrase that I hear quite a lot. Okay, a little more information then, Dave. For people who don't know you, where are you from and where do you live now?
Yeah, I am originally from the Bay Area in California, so Northern Cal, and
Ah.
born in Palo Alto and lived up and down the peninsula in Silicon Valley. And spent my formative years there. Went to university there too at San Jose State, and ended up after a series of gigs moving to Austin, Texas in 2010. So I like to say that I'm still learning how to be Texan, but Austin's an absolute amazing city to live in and great for family, kids, environment, restaurants. It's got it all.
Hmm. Yeah, we were chatting, weren't we, at the Data Revolution tour in New York about the cost of property on that the Palo Alto area, and yeah, and I think we all agreed. Well, you knew more than me that was the case. So first of all, a little bit of history as to where you worked before Qlik, and then what made you want to come and join us at Qlik.
You bet. Actually, funny, I'll go back all the way. So my father was a
Mm,
35-year manager and programmer at IBM. So he helped manage a lot of the programming on mainframes and
mm.
did the good mainframe operating systems and a lot of programming there. So I've got a bit of tech geek in me. I've got some English. Mom was an English teacher and got that background, and I gravitated towards the marketing function, which combined both. So being in
Yeah.
Silicon Valley was a great way to do that. And then I've had a series of jobs from the agency and consulting side to startups in the security space to E-Trade, financial services, AMD, doing major battle with Intel,
Mm.
and that's in the CPU and graphics sector, and then most recently at Rackspace. So I was there 5 years and doing hosting and managed cloud services, and then found my way to Qlik.
Excellent. So what made you make that move then? What caught your eye and made you think, yeah, I'd like to work for Qlik?
Yeah, Rick and I worked briefly at Rackspace together, so that he opened a
Mm,
door to explore the conversation. But the more I met with people and explored the opportunity at Qlik, I was really intrigued, both because of the people and the culture, which I'm a huge people
mm,
culture team guy. And to me, success of a company when you're clicking on all cylinders, it's really important because you can navigate those
mm,
challenges. And Qlik has been through challenges, so not too dissimilar to Rackspace. Rackspace went private a year after Qlik. We had gone
mm.
through multiple rounds of layoffs, had lost a founder, impacts to the culture, and I saw that similar path occur at Qlik, but you got incredibly strong, loyal customer base. You've got team-oriented culture, very people very personally invested in it. You know, elements of the Swedish soul still there, and that was really intriguing. So I love the mission and what Qlik is going for.
Yeah, and that's a good point actually, because that loyalty of the I call it a fan base, I suppose, of people who use the product, and that's one thing I remember, even working within Qlik in pre-sales, was the fact that the product just did what it said it was going to do. And I'd worked previously for other companies where that hadn't been the case. There had been a lot of froth, but the actual product, didn't quite exactly do what it did. So that's I think what garners that incredible loyalty, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you bet. Companies kill for that. Like, I don't think people
Yeah.
appreciate too. You know, we're in a competitive BI space, and yet you've got a loyal customer base. You've got product innovation occurring, and that can pull you through a lot. So it was at some point it
Mm.
was a no-brainer.
Yeah, you've only got to go along to connections to see that, and it really does come home, and that for me is very comforting as well. So you joined us as VP of Global Communications. So what are you trying to achieve here at Qlik then? What are your goals?
Yeah, at the top level, We are, if you know the sales funnel, communications tends to fit at the
Mm,
top end of the funnel around awareness and that level. So we are about helping through PR, social, exec comms, and analyst relations, helping build awareness for Qlik brand, and also gain that momentum and show the marketplace that we've
mm.
gone through the transition of going private. We've retooled the company. We're making big transitions with the product, right? Getting to ClickSense
Yeah.
and moving to cloud and the SaaS and subscription models being rolled out next year, and use the elements of the great substance that we have across
Yeah.
customers and testimonials to product launches to CSR and the great work Julie does to other and really show the world that Qlik is firing on all cylinders. So it's a
Yeah,
fun
that's
charter.
an important aspect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Dave, to interrupt, but that's an important aspect, I think, the CSR side of things, to put that human touch, that yeah, global employee touch to it, I think it is very important.
Yeah, you bet. And we've got such great stories to tell. And you've got whether it's the
Mm,
UN pieces and some of the meta work that's been done and things that can
yeah.
relate data and analytics to climate change and other, it's fascinating topics for the media.
Mm,
So how can we mine all of that and get that into the market as well as supporting the great products and the launches we do and show the
yeah.
world and surround the world with external validation from the analysts such as Gartner, et cetera, and some of the other key analysts that we work with that are so critical in that
Mm.
enterprise space.
Yeah, so we're making that move, a very important move, around the subscription side of things. So going from perpetual to subscription. Does that face you with any challenges? What's top of mind on that?
Yeah, I think it's really important. It won't be great news coverage. Like we won't be doing massive press releases and
No.
launches, but it's incredibly important for the analyst and the validation. So I think of the strategy, right? That
Yeah,
the
yeah.
company is rebuilding itself. It's setting itself up financially. It's what the market want. Customers want to have the subscription offerings as they coming from Rackspace,
Mm.
right? You have a big digital transformation that's going on as
Of course,
people
yes,
move their
yeah.
workloads to the cloud and to third parties and for
Mm.
support. So I think it checks an important box for us. And so it's critical that we get this move right and have a smooth
Yeah.
transition for customers while also allowing, right, the customers that aren't on the subscription model yet to retain what they have. And as they, will bring on new workloads, they can move to that.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, I've heard it said about customer stickiness, and that becomes even, and we've spoken about loyal customers, and that becomes even more important when we start talking about it's actually a month from month to month when they decide whether to pay us or not. So to get that stickiness is incredibly important.
Yeah, and that's where I was excited to see what with Roberto Sagona coming in and what the customer
Yes, yep.
support group and the customer experience and bringing that high level quality and taking that up a notch because Qlik historically, right, is coming from a SMB play up into the enterprise, and there's a different level of expectations and support that you get at the enterprise level, and if we build that, they will come, and it seems like we're in one of the
Mm.
best positions to make that happen.
Yeah, I remember in my early days of Qlik where our sales model was volume and velocity, so it was really about getting into companies at a lower level, at a a departmental level, and then growing but organically within that company. I think we've moved on slightly from that. It's important, but now as you rightly said, we're looking at the higher level as well. So that is very important. So your to-do list, I'm sure your to-do list is about a mile long, Dave. But what's top of that list for you for 2019 then? What are you looking forward to doing next year?
Yeah, one of the key programs we own is data literacy. So Kelly Hall and our team helped launch the Data Literacy Project and the Data Literacy Index, which hopefully everybody has seen, and
Yeah, yes, I hope
showing
so.
how companies and organizations that are more data literate have a better revenue opportunity and valuation. Super exciting to have that stat to help CDOs educate their companies and executives. So that's a massive
Mm,
program. We had a great launch, over 100 pieces of coverage, great social pickup, and people are coming out of the woodwork asking us to join. We just got a call this week from Alan Schwarz, who's a Pulitzer Prize New York Times writer who helped uncover concussions in the NFL. It was a big topic a
Ah,
few years ago in the
yeah, I've
U.S.
heard about that. Yeah.
And he's a big data guy. Like, who would have thought? And he wants to
Mm.
join. He's like, how do I join? And can I join your advisory board? So we're gonna have discussions with him. Jordan Morrow's already talked to him. So it's amazing that when you do great thought leadership and have a big picture and a vision that's bigger
Yeah.
than just your product and yourself, how that attracts a lot of people because the vision is just
Mm.
spot on. So that's a massive effort.
And that's PR gold,
Yeah,
isn't
oh,
it?
it is.
That's PR gold. We're talking NFL here,
Yes.
and maybe for the European people listening or watching, that may not be top of their list, but it certainly is in the Americas.
You bet. And so taking that globally, major project, and then all the other pieces of exec comms, building out our bench to get Mike Capone on the road more, build out platforms that he's
Yeah.
passionate about because he's big on data literacy, he's big on CSR, things that a CEO can talk about, but then also on some of the key themes like AI and getting a lift to took, and obviously
Yeah,
Mike
yeah, yeah.
Potter out there
Mm.
on the road telling the product story. But beyond the exec comms and getting our story told, those are the two biggies. One other one I'd love to share with people because it's coming in January, so a bit of a news flash.
Ah,
Our
excellent.
social media team is launching LinkedIn Elevate, and it's a chance for all Qlik employees to engage on a platform that makes sharing content on social super easy to use. So we'll be able to share news updates, company and corporate news, but also it's a great
Mm.
platform to share personal stuff, things that inspire you. And for social selling, it's going to be amazing for the sales force to help to get content out there that prospects will want to follow.
Yeah.
And part of that is actually not just being corporate robots and posting just launch stuff and corporate sales messaging. It's really about having a broad persona online, which matches being more human and things that inspire you about
Mm.
leadership or life and things, articles like that can be put in this content hub, and then everybody can pick and choose what they share and customize it. So super exciting. Stay tuned for January.
Yeah.
That'll be rolling out.
And Glassdoor is another thing as well, isn't it? That people should be looking at as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just for
Mm.
contributing and letting people know that the company's had a tough couple of years, and the ratings
Yeah.
matter on Glassdoor, and you find that it's really normal for the company going through transitions, and we had cuts, and that's tough. And so I think for people that see the bright spots and feel the momentum picking up, it'd be great for folks to share that on Glassdoor as well,
Yeah.
just to balance out some of the bumps we've faced over the previous few years.
Yeah, and it's very important to recognise that, isn't it? Yes, we have gone through the layoffs, and that leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. But going forward, when you talk about projects such as data literacy and then the artificial intelligence, all the stuff that Elif was talking about, there really is, and I truly believe it, a great feeling of something good coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to oversell the positive pieces because it takes time and it's really normal, right? With
Mm.
leadership transitions and some of the cuts and retooling the company, that takes months to get over. And for
Yeah.
some folks who've been here a long time, totally empathize with that. But also, I see a
Mm.
company that seems to be very well managed with the backing of Thoma Bravo, who seems to be a
Yeah.
better PE type of management company than you might find in other industries.
Mm.
So I don't know. It's a lot of. I feel really lucky as a comms person to have incredible assets to roll into 2019 with,
Yeah.
and a great team to get it done.
Excellent, excellent. So, okay, we're gonna start looking a little bit on the personal side
Oh,
of Dave Kroll to find a little bit of yeah, a little bit about you. I don't know if we've seen your dog there, Bernese Mountain Dog. You were saying, weren't you? So
yep,
that's a very personal thing. A beautiful looking dog.
yep. Got a couple of them. We've got two
Ah,
burners and a cat, and they're just as much our children as our. We got a 16 and a 14-year-old too, so a boy and a girl.
excellent. And I've heard on that also that you're into road biking.
Yes, I am. Yeah, so the actually, yeah, father got me into it as a teen, and have ridden a lot of centuries over the years. Never,
Mm.
I mean, did some amateur racing, but nothing incredible. And so I'm married to a feisty redhead, Denise, who's also a very strong rider, so she can take anybody on a hill. And we've ridden things like the Death Ride in California, 130 miles,
Well, that
16,000
sounds
feet of
dangerous.
elevation gain. And I was also really
Mm.
fortunate at AMD we sponsored the U.S. Postal and Discovery teams and did several three tours de France,
Oh, nice.
supporting some of the activities we did there and being able to ride the stages and do some touring in Europe. So big fan.
Oh,
I
that was
don't
going to
ride
be
as
my
much.
question had you done it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't ride as much as I used to, but I try to get in a few days a week and definitely pull a couple hours on the weekend and will always be a part of my life.
Excellent. So what else do you do then outside of work that keeps you a bit sane?
Well, I think we're big adventure family outdoors. We've got teens, right? So the kids are old
Mm.
enough now
Yeah.
where my son can beat me down a hill skiing, and we really love getting to our mountains. So get us to mountains, get us to beach, throw some travel
Mm.
in. It's a great time to do that with the kids, and great breaks away from busy job, and so
Yeah.
we travel. My wife's family's up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We'll go skiing over Christmas. We
Ah.
get a lot to Colorado and Utah and get the great powder of
Mm.
Alta and Snowbird, and enjoy hiking in the summer. And we've got some great national parks in the U.S. and we've got the
Yep.
kids over to Switzerland a few years ago too, and love mixing it up.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I was going to say Texas, as far as I know, is very hot. So how far do you have to travel to go
Yeah,
skiing? The snow
the
wouldn't last very long there.
I joke. I mean, there's the pleasure and guilty pleasure of living not for free, but the cost of living is so good in Austin and in Texas.
Mm.
And then the downside, and there's so many good. The schools are great and the city, et cetera. But the downside is the 6 months of summer, so we have to get out. So
Mm.
that's just
Yes, I
mandatory.
can imagine.
The humid It's not as bad as Houston, but plenty of humidity and the index is high. And I was used to growing up in the Bay Area and being outside all summer. So if
Mm.
we get our trips and get out, we're all good.
So what kind of temperature does it reach then in the middle of summer there?
Yeah, like the first year we moved, it was 85 days
Mm.
over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So
Oh,
that was
ouch.
extreme, and we
Mm.
haven't had a heat wave like that. And typically it's 20 to 30 days. But the heat's hotter here than I've felt especially back in California. So it's
Yeah.
hotter, a little more humid. So the heat index tends to be higher. So, once you're in the sun,
Okay.
it's hot. Find some shade, find some
Yeah,
water.
I
That
can
helps a lot.
imagine. Yeah. Yeah, find a pool somewhere. So, if you do you have a book or a film that you've either read more than once or a film that you've watched more than once, and why did you do that?
I think on the good question. On the film side, I have to go back to Shawshank Redemption, Stephen King
Ah,
novel, and just
brilliant choice.
amazing
Yeah.
movie. And whenever that's on TV, I will watch it again, or just because it's such a fantastic story, great
Mm.
characters, and I just love that movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
for others out there too. On the book side,
Mm.
I'm into biographies. So one I haven't read it multiple times, but Shoe Dog
Yeah.
by Phil Knight is an amazing story of Nike, and I loved it because he was
Oh,
really
okay.
authentic about the challenges they faced and how the company barely made it. And then right
Mm.
now I happen to be reading *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari and I love the big picture trends, historical trends on
Yeah.
development of human beings and
Mm.
how we evolved over the centuries. So it's a fascinating read.
Yeah. One of the Qlik events I went to, we have a chap who presented at the event who was the author of the Inner Chimp, and I don't know if you've heard of that book or not. And that was fascinating around behavioural and why we act the way we do, and recognizing that there is an irrational side of you, that won't do exactly what you said, that will rebel against your sensible thoughts, and that I found. And if you're into that kind of thing, Dave, I would recommend getting a book called The Inner Chimp. It's worth a
I will
read.
I will check that out. One other side note is because you realize your DNA is really not what you think it is. I grew up,
Yeah.
Kroll's a German name. So, you're this part, 35% German from your father's side, and she had a big Swedish Nordic background too, but English and Irish, and
Ah.
you're 15% Scottish. And then we did a 23andMe testing, and I end up being
Yeah.
53% Scandinavian and Nordic,
Ah.
much more than she even thought. plus,
Yeah.
and then German was like 13%. And then I've got, zero point zero 0.01 Ashkenazi Jew in there. And I've got, I mean, it's just, and you don't realize you're carrying DNA back from centuries
I
upon
know.
centuries. And it's really, I just find that fascinating, and it does have you
It
appreciate the
is,
big
isn't it?
picture.
So that's what drew you to Qlik then, was all that the Scandic
It
side of
must have
you,
been, yes.
subconsciously, yeah. That's why
I got to
you're
get to
here, Dave.
Lund.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you've not been there yet. You do have to
No.
go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we come to the end now, really. I mean that's the last bit. Well, I enjoyed all of it. I tell you, but that last bit is fascinating, and a subject I find yeah is quite amazing. So thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for spending the time. You know, you are busy, you are drinking from that fire hose, and I do always appreciate that people take time out to get involved in Qlik Spotlight. And I'm going to leave you with quite a disturbing fact, actually. And I do this for all the people I interview, something for you to take away. But in the 1960s, they made fake snow. You know, the kind of stuff that we see all the
Sure.
time. But back in
Yeah.
the 1960s, can you guess what it was made of?
It wasn't just made of like polyurethane plastic.
No, it was asbestos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All those poor kids playing in department stores and
I know, playing
asbestos.
in the
That's
asbestos.
terrible.
How nice is that? And I grew up in that time, so hopefully I didn't have too much asbestos snow chucked at me. But anyway, I think I'm okay. I think so. So thank you, Dave, once again for getting involved. It has been a pleasure, and take care and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you. Great to spend time with you, and really appreciate the warm welcome from everybody. Enjoying the ride.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.